G'day, guys. Welcome to the Home Invest podcast. We've had a bit of technical problems, so we've had to retrieve, and we've come back in, but never mind, we'll push through. Thank you for joining us. I've got a very special guest today, someone that is a close friend that I went through social media blueprint course with, and I've brought her in today because she specializes in a niche, and the topic today is the power of having a niche. So what I'll do is I'll introduce her now. She's sitting here. She's been patient with the tech problems, but I'll get her in and we'll get started. But just first, hit the like button, hit the love button, give Tammy plenty of love. She's an awesome person. And I've just had someone coming in from Ohio. So, let us know where you're coming in from, where you're watching from, and put plenty of interaction in the chat. And remember to go to the Home Invest School YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon. So when we go live, especially when we haven't got technical problems, you can just jump in and be a part of the family. So awesome. Now, without any further ado, once I've got all that out of the way, is our next guest is the founder and owner of Crew Property Solutions. And her name is Tammy Etheridge Cruson. She's an investor. She's been in real estate for a while now. And I was lucky enough to meet her as a fellow student in the SMB program. So without any further ado, welcome, Tammy. It's great to have you on the program.
Thanks, Graham. Great to be here with you and the people that are joining us. Always love to spend time with you.
Yeah, well, we've been trying to catch up for a little while. We've both been pretty busy, but it's always good. We always have fun. We have a good laugh, and both of us, we love a chat and we love to get pumped up, especially about real estate. So I've been trying to get you for a while, and it's great to have you here, and it's always a pleasure. But Tammy, you've just rebranded, and you've got an exciting. You've just rebranded your name. I mean, I think you said to me that you're still running with the old name, but you're rebranding, and it's now Crew Property Solutions. You got the new logo done. Is this a 2.0 version of you? Are you launching?
It is. I started out listening to anybody and everybody that was giving advice on the internet or coaches or whatever. And I have grown to the point where I'm listening to myself. And so the Tammy buys houses with the dashes between the words, and the super bright pink just wasn't me.
Yep.
So I brought along some show and tell. I hope you can
We
see.
love
Yes,
props. Bring the props
I
in.
don't know if you can see this. It's the
Yeah,
new
no, that's good.
brand
That's
new
good.
logo.
Yeah,
So
that is awesome.
becoming Crew Property Solutions, which is really more who I am. I do more than buy houses. I look for real estate solutions to people's life challenges.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And that's what we've got you in here to talk about your special niche. But just before we get into that, I always like to, for the viewers and the listeners, the audience that's out there, I'll get them, a bit of background on the person so they get to know the person who's on the interview. Now, Tammy, tell us about your backstory, about how you got into real estate in the first place, even what you were doing before that, and then the journey and the transition across to where you are now with this new launch of you know 2.0 Tammy, and then we'll go into the niche, and we'll really bust open the niche that you're into, and how it can be beneficial to really niche down. So you've got the floor now. Tell us how you got here to this day, where it started.
well, if I start at the very beginning, I did a number of things. I did TV news. I was a paralegal in a law firm because I thought I wanted to go to law school. And then before my kids were born, I was a special education teacher. And then I was a stay-at-home mom. And my real estate career, honestly, probably started about when I did. I grew up in a family that had rental properties. Um, and my dad died when I was young. And we were very blessed that my parents had started this rental business. And my mom became the sole breadwinner and was able to grow the business and support us and continue our lifestyle. So that's my first story in real estate.
Yep.
Then I was a mom and a community volunteer, very active in the community. And after 26 years, my husband decided he wanted to do a divorce. And real estate once again popped up in my story. We lost our beautiful home. The girls and I had to move. Long story short is the blessing there was that I started my own real estate career.
Yep.
Got
Yep.
divorced at the end of 2014 and bought my first rental in 2015. And the story continues. And the final stage of this story is a little more recent and led me to my niche. And that story is that my stepfather, who'd been in our family for almost 4 decades, needed to move out of the house with my mom and into assisted living. The doctors just told my mom she wasn't capable of giving him all the care he needed. And he moved from mom's house into assisted living and then into skilled nursing care. And he eventually passed away. And that process was monumentally difficult for my family. The emotions, the stress, the financial considerations, the decision fatigue, and the information overload, it was just all too much. So when my family came through this, I vowed that I was going to help other people going through it. So I started researching and realized most Americans don't have a good plan for when they can no longer live independently. And the majority of Americans, for the majority of Americans, their home is their greatest asset. And so, with the high cost of senior care, most must sell their house in order to fund their care. And that's where my real estate career and my passion for helping these seniors came together.
Wow, that is a big real estate story. It starts way back when, doesn't it?
It
But you've
does.
always been around real estate, so it must be in your blood. You've had it there early, and it's always been a part of your life some way. You're a community-minded person. You're a heartfelt person. You want to serve people. So it's all come together in the Tammy 2.0 version, hasn't it? It's all things, and like you said, it's a passion. So that's amazing how it's all come together for you. And we'll go into your niche now, and what we'll do is people will be able to see, why you've explained it there, but how you've come to the point you're at now, because not just the circumstances of what you went through, the fact that you've got a servant mentality and you love helping people, and the fact that you're already in real estate. So bang, here you are now. So what I'll do, Tammy, is I'll get you to give us a little bit of an overview of what you do in your business and just how it looks. If you give us a scenario about how someone rings up and says, "Hi, Tammy, I've heard that you help people. You buy houses off people that someone's going into a retirement home or whatever." So could you just fill us in with an overview of that, Tammy?
I sure can. Most often, the person who calls me is the one I call Daughter Debbie. She is the child that is the most responsible for what is usually the mom. I in this niche, it winds up most of the time I'm dealing with women. I obviously am happy to deal with men, but as it turns out, it's usually the daughter that feels like she needs to step in or she's been called by the doctors. And the phone conversation begins much like it did when my mom called me, and that is there's a distraught female on the other end.
Mm.
She's worried about her mom's health. This usually has taken her by surprise. She's often from out of town. So she got a call, mom fell or had a stroke or a heart attack, and the hospital or the doctor has let daughter Debbie know that mom is not thriving and is no longer safe at home. And they generally say, your mom needs to go after she leaves the hospital, your mom will need to go to a rehab center. And the rehab center will keep her for so many days, according to insurance. And then you're going to have to find a community for your mom. And daughter Debbie is just overwhelmed. She's done a little bit of research and she realizes that the average is about $5,000 a month. And that's for an average community. And most of us want to put our parents in the very best. And Debbie realizes pretty quickly that mom's house needs to be sold. So she calls me and she says, mom's house hasn't been updated and it's just full of all this stuff. It's always stuff that she's collected over her lifetime. Gosh, she's still got paintings that I did with my hand that look like a turkey. I think I did it in kindergarten. And the story comes out and I don't know where to put mom and she's not going to be able to stay long. I have to find something right now. It's going to cost so much money. And she's talking quickly. She's crying. And I love it when I get to say, you know what? Don't worry about the house. I can take care of the house. I will give you a fair price. I will share all my numbers with you. I can get the money to you quickly. So if I take care of the house and all the stuff, that'll free you up to take care of your mom. And the relief is palpable. I mean, she says,
Wow.
well,
Yeah.
what about the updates? Well, what about what's going to happen to all the stuff? And I get to say, I've been through it myself and I've helped people just like you. And I know how to do it. I've got resources and connections in the area and I can have someone come out with whatever stuff you guys don't want on your timetable. You and your siblings go in, you get what mom's going to take and what you want for sentimental reasons or for any reason. And I've got people that donate this. They work with churches, synagogues in the area. And she says, oh my gosh, that'll be so good because my mom just could not stand it if 1-800-JUNK truck came out and
Yeah.
picked up her things. And so what I've been able to do in living it myself and then helping other people through it is to sort of cut off the stress before it gets to be too big. Because daughter Debbie, or if it's son Sam, they're really worried about the mom's health, but they're also worried about the emotions. They're also worried about the other siblings. And, if the siblings are going to think that this is the right thing to do. And I really love this niche because I truly get to help people. And I just love when there's a real estate solution to a tough life problem.
Yeah. And exactly what you're saying. This is like a super niche because there's so many things that you're doing, to take pressure off. It's a very unique situation, isn't it? It's very different than a lot of other property, say distressed property, where someone needs to move quickly. This is a really delicate and emotional situation, even more so than a lot of other situations you come across. And the fact that you've been through it, Tammy, has just primed you to know all the emotions and all the stresses and how to take that pressure off people, which is a benefit for them and it's a benefit for you because you take control, you get the house taken care of. And I guess what we probably the main thing for someone that's not real estate savvy, they'd say, well, why don't you just get an agent in? Well, in this situation, you can't because they're an older person, the upkeep hasn't been done. You said that there's a lot of junk, there's a lot of stuff, there's a time situation and money cost for them to go. They need money straight away. And bang, that's where you come in, isn't it? That's where you come in and you've got a system in place.
Yes, and there are occasions where I've said to families, you know, I think maybe a real estate agent could work here. The family has enough funds to get through the first 6 months.
Yeah,
And the house is in decent condition, and the family lives nearby, so I can refer them to my donations people and my organizers and clean out people. And I certainly know real estate agents that I know are sensitive to the needs of these families, and I can
yep,
refer them out. Um, I um, and I'm happy to do that.
yeah,
I try to give as much as I can. In fact, I've got a book I've co-written,
yep,
um, and I write a lot of articles. I have a Facebook group called um, the Senior Compassion Hub. Sorry, I had a moment, I couldn't even think of it. Senior Compassion Hub. And it's got a lot of information for people there. And I'm about to start um, a free guide. It's like a mini book for people that just don't want to read that much. This is just the most pithy, brief. Here's what you've got to do. It's going to come with a video and the
yeah,
7 steps that you've got to take when you find out that your loved one can no longer live independently. So
yeah,
I am always the first to say, I would love to buy your house. That's my business. That's how I put food on the table. But more than that, I've been where you are and I want to help you get your beloved senior into a safe living environment as effectively and as efficiently as possible. And that's usually time and money and stress relieving for these people.
yeah. Wow, that's it is. It's just a super niche. It's amazing. I mean, a lot of people, and that's what we're talking about today. We brought you in because of niches, and a lot of people do get into little niches, but this one is, yeah, it's one of the biggest ones I've ever heard because there's so much involved. It's so much involved, and it enables you, like you said, to put food on the table, but also to really help people in their time of need. And that's something that I know that's really important to you,
Yes.
Tammy. And we'll go into it later. We just, I think I just lost you for a minute there. We'll
Yeah.
go into it later. I want to talk about SMB and our experience with SMB, but that's stuff that we've all learned at SMB, like you said, about how if you find something that you're really passionate about, that's in real estate and you find your niche, you never have to work another day in your life. And you're found that because, it ticks all the boxes. Now I always look at the other side. What are some of the issues and the problems and the roadblocks that you get doing this that are make it a little bit harder? I mean, that's what you're doing. That's the service you're providing. Are there any sort of problems that keep coming up that you have to find solutions for?
Um, yes. The main problem for me is to help, but remain a little bit objective. I can get pulled all too easily into the midst of the family. In fact, back in the early summer, I was asked to come and sit with the mom and the other siblings. Um, and that's a little tough. I'm not trained in counseling. Uh, and so I personally have to be careful about that. As far as the niche is concerned, um, I really need good boots on the ground in the industry and in the construction and real estate field because these families just need a plethora of help.
Mm,
They
mm,
they need it everywhere. They need to. you know, do you know a good community for this? You know, what can we do with the stuff? My dad collects these special guns. Yes, I had that. Um, how do we sell those? We know they're worth a lot of money. So I learn a lot. I provide a lot of services, and I need a lot of connections, which is why I really focus on Georgia, particularly the Atlanta area where I live and the middle Georgia area where I grew up and where I have a lake house. Um, those are the places where I know people and I can get things done
Yeah.
quickly. And then I've also had to deal with probate more than a few times because seniors, I think the average is 2 to 2.5 years that um, the senior lives in these communities. And a few of my sweet clients didn't make it that long. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
before we could take care of everything, I was looking at a probate situation
So
and needed
that puts
to
another
find a
dimension.
lawyer and mhm,
Yeah, that puts another dimension. So that
yeah.
it's not a roadblock, or it's just,
No.
yeah, you have to deal with it. Yeah, you have to deal with it as an extended part compared to what other times you have to deal with. So yeah, yeah, it's amazing because I'm just listening to you, Tammy. I'm going, wow, you're in Georgia. I mean, you could pretty much have a blueprint and set people up in other states like who want to do what you do, who are passionate about it, and be the coach of that niche and coach people how to do that, because you're already down the track. You've already experienced it yourself, and you've building a business where you're saying, I need a lot of people. So there's a model there for all the states, isn't there? Because this is something that is, until you've been there, you don't really realize how many people need help at that age. We're an aging population with the baby boomers.
We sure are.
Yeah,
That's it. Our population is getting gray hairs for sure.
yeah. So as a humanitarian and someone that's got a heart, we want to see our old people be treated with dignity and respect. But also, as a real estate investor, there's a lot of people in that need help as well
Yes.
with the house, the actual asset. It's not, so you've got a bit like, you're the perfect person for it. You've got that heart and that service, but you also know real estate. So it's a very important thing because, like you said, a family member who knows nothing about real estate, has got enough on their plate. They're emotional. Um, that time is very emotional because it comes really quick, like you said. So I think more and more now, there's going to be, people are going to have to service this niche because yeah, the baby boomers are getting older now, and there's going to be a lot of people going into retirement places. So I think you've just stumbled across, because of who you are and you know how you serve people. You've just stumbled into a niche. Well, I don't know if you've stumbled into it, whether you thought about it for a long time, um, or it was just because of what happened with your personal circumstances.
I really feel um like it was the plan. Um th- it For me, it was a family crisis that I was able to turn into a blessing.
Yeah,
And I feel like the things that happen in our lives, we learn from and help others, or we don't really grow ourselves. So I think this was my opportunity to jump in and help people. Um, and so, we just all learned to turn lemons into lemonade. And
yeah,
I'm still, you know this about me. I'm very honest. I'm still figuring out a little bit about this. The most difficult thing about this niche is how to reach the families.
yeah,
Uh, there's a lot of word of mouth, and there's a lot of trying to be at senior events so that you're known in the area. This works very differently from the way most real estate investing niches work.
Yeah.
Um, it's, I can't just throw out a post in a Facebook group because not only are we dealing with the special housing issue, but we're also dealing with the sensitivity of people aging. And truly, out of all the people I've met who've gone through this, no one wants to get old and not be able to live at home and take care of themselves. That's
Mm.
no one's life plan. So it's a tough little marketing um,
Yeah.
fine line that you have to walk. I do very well when people reach out to me and I meet these people. But the trick really is um, in finding these people or being so a part of the community that they find me.
That's right. Yeah. Because there is a lot of people. It's confusing. They don't know where to look. So I guess that's a part of your marketing advertising. As you grow, you've got to say, well, how do I get in front of, whether I do radio ads and I have a like, so someone, someone, daughter Debbie's driving home and she's stressing out and she hears that ad and bang, and you need to be able to reach a lot more people.
And
So
that's
that's a
sort of
part of
where
your,
we're going. And if there are any people watching this that are part of the SMB family, I encourage you to reach out to me. I certainly would help you. I'd love to see us doing this in other states. There are real estate groups out there. In fact, I'm involved with one, Mom's House, and they are wonderful. They're doing a lot, and they have a lead buying program. Um, I I prefer just to be right here, who I am, serving my
yeah.
community. Um, and if anyone wants to reach out to learn how I've done it, and you feel a passion for seniors, this resonates with you, um, I I invite you to find me. Right now, I'm still mostly Tammy Dash Buys Dash Houses. Um, you can get me through SMB. Um, Graham can lead you there,
Yeah.
or Nate or
Contact
any
me.
bunch.
We'll,
Um,
I'll do a bit of a shout out at the end, and we'll do some contact points so people can, because this is, I mean, that's an amazing offer that you're going to you'd help people, because I'm sure there's people that have been through similar things in other states, and if you've got that sort of heart where you love helping older people, we've all got parents, we've all got grandparents, and they're a real asset. And there's something in our culture now that we have to get better at again, is really take care of elderly, because that's where there's so much wisdom and love there. So I think it's amazing, Tammy. And yeah, we'll go over it at the end of the podcast. And if anyone's out there that wants to reach out and talk to Tammy, it's a great niche. Like, not only, you know, like there's going to be a lot of people, so there's going to be a lot of business. There's going to be a lot of people you can help. So it's just, yeah, you've just found an amazing niche, Tammy. It's just blows my mind. Now, what I want to ask you, Tammy, anyone that's watching the replay and they go, all right, well, that's great, Tammy's. Tell people how you sort of come across your niche. Like, obviously, when we're in the SMB, we were being coached, and we're like, all right, you do this, do that, start a Facebook group, do the, and a lot of people that go through it still aren't sure. I know I wasn't sure. I'm not sure whether you were sure. How did it sort of? Were you trying other stuff, or were you just trying a heap of stuff, and then that just come to the forefront because that's your passion?
I try everything. I am the biggest squirrel chaser in the world. I love to learn and I chase. And I have to hand it to the SMB coaches. I mentioned this to, I think Nate and Chris may have been the first ones, but truly the SMB coaches were the ones that said, I hear it in your voice.
Mm.
You need to do this. Nate in particular said, Tammy, this is your niche. Listen to your heart. You can't be all things to all people, but I hear the passion, and you're using words that they use, and you need to do this. And so I did. What I would encourage people to do, and maybe there are some people who just want a general business. I think it's easier for people to find you. I think it's easier to feel like you really know your stuff.
Mm.
And and I feel like you don't want to be like everybody else. So if you can find some niche, it doesn't have to be quite as small a niche as mine, but I would say that's one of those tasks that is the $10,000 an hour task,
Mm.
where you need to spend some time thinking about what you enjoy, what resonates with your heart. And as you hear people's stories about the niche they have, what piques your interest? And then I would say, try to put your blinders on and take action. Go really hard into that niche. And the
Yeah.
SME crowd will help you. All day, every day, encourage. Even if, like me, you come up with a niche that they weren't even really familiar with, they jumped in and brainstormed with me and supported me.
Mm.
Just can't do better than the SMB family.
Yeah, you've really hit it on the head there, Tammy. It's amazing when you first come into a program. You're like a squirrel. You're looking everywhere. I remember part of the initial program was try and find a niche. And I'm thinking, well, wouldn't it be better to do everything, because then you can get, and Nate and the team just said no. This is, you got to, and it took a while for that mindset to actually come in. And I don't think I did I started my Facebook group about 3 or 4 months in. I'm like, I don't want a Facebook group. I didn't realize the power in it. And once again, they know what they're doing. Students have come through, and by the time you come out the other end, you found a niche, you found what you're good at, you found what your passions are, you found what you're not good at, and you outsource. So all these things, like you say, are taught in that thing. And to see how it's worked for you is just amazing. I mean, because I know you as a person, and I'm just so pumped for you that you are in the perfect job, for the rest of your life, because that's who you are, and that's what you like doing. So yeah, I just wanted to sort of break that open for people that are thinking, well, I was sort of doing a bit of everything. I'm not really succeeding. Find a niche. What Tammy's done is a prime example of how it can work and how it can all come together. And Tammy's just sort of said that, at first she was sort of looking at a few different things, but it just evolved. So have patience like Tammy did, and all of a sudden, bang, you're in the right place. And you've got to be surrounded by the right people. And I'm the same as Tammy. I'll say I've never met a team like Nate's team that just, they care how Tammy cares for her clients. So yeah, shout out to Nate and the team.
Yes.
I'm sorry that I actually doubted you guys at first and said, how long have these guys been doing it for? But it was me. It was me that was the problem. So thank God they were patient with us. But no, that's awesome, Tammy. And I just wanted to, going into that, I just wanted to ask you about, we did it last year. We did the social media blueprint course last year together, and we had a bit of fun. We didn't mind having a bit of fun. Myself, you and I, we'd crack a few jokes and get things moving. So I think the team, although they were going to put a restraining order on me, I think at one stage, they enjoyed a few bubbly people in the group, which was good.
Yeah.
Now, the question I've got is, what drew you to SMB? Where were you at with your real estate, and what drew you to SMB in the first place?
Well, two things. Number one, Nate himself is really what drew me there. He is earnest and faith filled and transparent.
Mm.
And that had me going back to him over and over. And then the other thing was, I really was searching for the pieces of my business that were missing. And that is, I needed someone to sit beside me so I trusted my numbers when I ran them. And Precious Kate did that for me. I went for, I can't remember now if it was 2 or 3 days, but for a few days. And Kate just spent time with me and gave me confidence. The other thing was marketing. Um, that involved so much technology that I just didn't quite get. I had picked some up, I'd been in another group. I'd learned this sort of do it yourself way, which was wonderful. But in order to scale it all, I didn't need to be doing it all myself. And one of the first books that Nate recommended was Who Not How, because almost upon his first getting to know me, he realized I was doing too much myself. And that's really what I needed them for. I needed undergirding of the basics, and I needed permission not to do it all myself. Lots of
Yep.
times we try to save money and we forget the cost of time and um priorities, your family, your health, and doing it all is not always the most cost effective way of going forward. So
Yeah, definitely.
they were fabulous for me
Yeah.
and still are. I mean, I'm still a part of the family. Hope to always be.
Yeah. Well, we just before we come on air, we both are. We're both former students and current students. You're in the elite mentorship, and I'm in the SLP. So once again, you this is what I said when I sort of finished up. People say, "Oh, how did you end up back, doing the podcast?" And I said, "Well, I wouldn't leave them alone. I kept tagging them that much that they said, "Oh, we're going to, Graham won't go. He won't leave us alone," because that's the feeling it leaves you with. You just want to be a part of that team. You want to be a part of that culture, and it's not just the students and the people in there. Everyone networks together, and that's what I mean. Like, you can go out and buy a course, you can do a program but to be mentored and to be part of a family is a whole different thing. It's people that are gunning for your success. They want you to be successful, and they're driven. So I'm the same as you. We get to hang out again because we're still involved. So that's fantastic. And I was gonna ask you, what are the benefits? Where's it led you? But your story, what you've been talking about with your niche and about how you get to do what you love doing, that's the answer to that question. And everyone's sort of heard that on the podcast I mean, you can see it's beaming off you. You just love what you're doing. So the last thing I wanted to talk to you about was so you got a Facebook. I didn't know you had a Facebook group with what you're doing, but you've actually got an Atlanta Facebook group. Do you want to give us just a quick, I suppose, overview of when you started off, how you were feeling about it, how you grew it, and where it is now, and what opportunities it brings to you?
Well, I started off not really understanding a whole lot about marketing. Now I understand a little more, but I know who to go to, Marla.
Hmm.
When I don't know the answer. But Kate did teach me a lot about Facebook groups, and I now run 3. I have one that is for real estate investors. It's called Atlanta and Other Georgia Off Market Facebook groups, and that has a lot of wholesalers, cash buyers. We all kind of help each other out there. Need a deal, get a deal, and it's for the state of Georgia. Obviously, Atlanta is a big part of that. I have another Facebook group that is Cobb County Neighbors and Friends, and that's my little community. And I started that because I wanted a way to reach my community and let them know what I was doing. This is a like newsy happening, events, history, whatever, anything about our community. It's for the whole county right here where I am. And then the third one is the Senior Compassion Hub. And that's just a place for seniors or the families of seniors to come, hang out, give advice to each other, and use the resources that we provide there, get connections.
Wow. So you got three. So you're super busy. Obviously, they tend to run themselves a little bit once they're up and running, but you've done a great job to build. And what I like about them is you've got sort of a business one over here, which is, the wholesalers and the buyers, and that's real nuts and bolts real estate. Then you've got your community one, which actually, when you mentioned, I remember you saying a long time ago that you just, oh, I know it's probably not going to get me much real estate, but I just want to help the community. But that would actually have, when you think about it, would probably get your other bit, your real estate business into the community, because people then would get to know, they would see you as someone helping the community, that you're not just out there to get something. So that probably has worked out really good for you, that Facebook group.
It has especially worked out well for me here in Atlanta. Sadly, there are more than a few of us that haven't gotten education, aren't really treating people right, and we don't have the best reputation here in Atlanta and in Georgia. And in fact, Atlanta has shut down some wholesaling. Not completely, but they really keep an eye out because people didn't do the right thing. So that has allowed me to become a trusted expert if you are not looking for a real estate agent.
Yep, exactly. Which goes a long way, like you said, in the real estate REI wholesaling world, to have someone that's credible and trustworthy goes a long way, because the market got so hot. And I know what you're talking about. Atlanta was a super hot market, and then people just come and they do the wrong thing. So that brands a lot of people in the, with the same iron, and to stand out from that crowd, like you said, being a community person, that's a real benefit, because people that they want to come with someone they can trust, especially with a big asset like a house. And now with your niche market, especially with their family and a family member that's elderly. So that's amazing. And then you've got the other group, which is to do with that. So you've just hit it out the park. Now I know you're into baseball, so you've smashed it out of the park. You've hit a home run, haven't you?
I am. And actually, if anyone wants to know how much I love Graham Solomon, I am missing a Braves game. And we don't miss.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, I'm flattered.
But I do love you. You know that. One of my favorite humans you are.
Well, what we're going to do, I've made this commitment. When I come out to the States next year, you're taking me to, I'm not going to any area, my first baseball game, and I've got to bag for the Braves. So I'll pay you back for that, because I love sport and I can't wait to get out and baseball, gridiron, all of the US sports. So you're my baseball go-to person. So because you've missed it, I won't go to another game with anyone else until I come and hang out with you. So that's a commitment I make.
Yeah.
Yep. I've already promised you. Yeah.
Okay. That's right.
Yep.
Come on.
No, that's awesome, Tammy. I really appreciate you coming in and just really going through, not just your niche, but how things come about, and how, if you just trust who you are as a human being and you identify what gifts you've got, what God-given gifts you've got, how it can all come together if you've got the patience and you do the hard work to get there. So you're an example of that. You're an example of being attracted to certain people, because like people attracts like. So that's why you found the team at SMB, and to see things all coming together now is amazing. And you're one of my favorite people. I call you my Southern Belle. You're one of my favorite people. I call you my Southern Belle, and I can't wait to catch up with you. But thanks for sharing that. And I hope all the viewers, guys, go back and watch the tape, because there's a lot of gold nuggets in there. You've really got to listen to it. There's a lot of gold nuggets there that Tammy's shared with us. And reach out to her. We're going to wrap up now. So Tammy, what's the best ways? Facebook, your personal profile, or your group?
Yeah,
give your group a plug, or your groups.
Yes. You know what? Actually the easiest thing to do right now is Tammy buys houses, and this you're not going to be able to see that, but
Yep.
on Facebook, on Instagram, Twitter, got a website. Just remember TAMI dash buys dash
Yep.
houses. Sorry about this, guys. Right in the middle of a rebrand, but that's
Yep.
probably the easiest way to get me. Or, you really can get me through the SMB crowd. I'm sure they will
Yeah.
hook you up. If you are looking for help, I will give it to you. And before I go, shout out to Jay and Chris as coaches. They both help me so much. I tend to text or telegram with Chris when things are down, and Jay is my brainstorming guy. So
Yeah.
I hadn't brought them up, but if you do not have mentors and you are thinking about making that commitment, and it is a commitment to yourself, and a monetary commitment. I just cannot imagine a better team.
Yeah.
They are the best.
Absolutely. I'll second that.
Yeah.
And if you're watching on whatever channel that you're watching this on, even if it's YouTube or whatever, just put something in the comments if you want to reach out to Tammy. Even if it's my Facebook group, Nate's groups, and just reach out, because I think this is very underestimated real estate niche. And once again, you'd have to have a certain servant mentality. You can't go in there like a bull in a china shop. It's delicate, but this has been predicted for a long, long time. The baby boomers, such a heavy amount of the population. So, yeah, guys, reach out to Tammy and pick her brain on it, and she'll be able to help you. And I reckon we push forward with the Tammy US coaching tour, where you just go around state to state teaching people how to do this, because it needs to happen. And thanks for coming in. Awesome, Tammy. I'll see you next year at the baseball. I will see you before then, but I can't wait for a day at the baseball. And guys, thanks for joining us. And once again, Tammy, I just love seeing your interviews, because I get pumped up, and I'm that excited and pumped up once, you have that enthusiasm. So thanks for coming and sharing that with us. Thanks for the shout out for the coaches and Nate. And thanks guys for joining the Home Invest podcast for Friday afternoon. Have a great weekend, and from me and Tammy, we'll see you later. Be safe.
Guys.